And welcome back to the Cincinnati sports scene. We are back after taking a break from the holidays. I'm Dave, your host, joined by Charlie and Sam. We are getting ready to bring you all the latest and greatest sports for the 2025 season. As we head into the 2025 season, we're rolling out some exciting updates for the show. So I'm going to tell you real quickly just what some of those updates are. Our goal is to make C.S.S. even better and easier for you to enjoy from start to finish. Here's what's new. Our Week That Was segment is here to stay, so you don't have to worry about that. We're going to spotlight the hottest teams and the biggest stories of the moment. The topic of the week, however, will only appear when there's something major to discuss, giving us more room to explore some fresh content like this date in sports history or some historical seasons of the Reds and the Bengals. And of course, we can just dive into the week that was a little more in depth. And as always, the trivia segment will stay around, plus giving you chances for shout outs if you can answer the question. One of our big shifts for 2025 is we're no longer going live on YouTube. Instead, these episodes, if you want to watch it, we'll upload it to YouTube later in the week. You can tune in to it anytime. You don't have to be here on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Now, what we're thrilled, I think, to announce that instead of going live every week, we're going to try to go live maybe 2 or 3 times a year, where we'll maybe visit a local establishment and where you can join us and talk sports and maybe even be a guest host. Okay. So if you have any suggestions, drop us a comment below or wherever you get your podcasting platforms. You can always find us on the internet, on Twitter and Instagram at Cincy Sports Scene. All right. We're getting ready to go into the week that was, but before we do, we always want to go around the horn here and ask our host how they've been. It's been a while since we saw you. How was your Christmas break? Are you ready? Looking forward to the 2025 season? Charlie, what about you?
Yeah, Christmas break was really, really good. Saw my son from the Air Force Academy came into town. He was here about 2.5 weeks. Left on this past Thursday, so a couple of days been back. He already went skiing in Vail, Colorado today, and so he's already back enjoying what you can do in Colorado. So, but it was really, really good. Having the whole family in place for quite a few days over that break, and then just getting time to kind of re-engage in the world and outside of work, and hopefully feel refreshed going into the new year, which really doesn't start till next week. But we, so I'm going to try to use these last couple of days to get ready.
Sounds good. Sam, what about you?
Well, I didn't really have a Christmas break. I got a day or two off here and there, but it was good. Fun to see you guys on Christmas. Spend a little time with the kid, watching her open her gifts, kind of all by herself was good. Seeing how she's really enjoying them down in her playroom. She's down there multiple hours every night after I come home. It's our nightly routine, so it's pretty fun.
That's good. That is good. All right, we're going to get things rolling here in 2025 with the week that was. We're going to start it off with UC basketball. They are 10-3 overall, 0-2 in the Big 12, unfortunately. Had a heartbreak loss at Kansas State, 70-67. And then they lost to Arizona, an unranked Arizona, 72-67. I did not watch any of the games, so I'm going to turn it to you guys for expert opinions. And, looking forward to the Baylor matchup, traveling to Baylor. What do we have to do to get back on the right track?
And as far as this past week, I watched most of the Kansas State game, and I caught a little bit of the Arizona game. From what I saw in both games and what I've been reading a lot of, is they don't get to the free throw line. So, if you don't get to the free throw line, you're not getting easy points. And then, when they do get to the free throw line, they're not a very good free throw shooting team. I think I saw it. I can't remember what the stat was, but it's like adjusted for attempts and, your percentage, kind of see where you're at. They were in the 300s. So, they're not good in either aspect. So, I mean, when you lose by 3 and you lose by 5, that's kind of where the margin is. I bet if you look, they missed more than 3 free throws and they missed more than 5. I'd almost put money on it without looking at the box score. One thing UC's always struggled with is 3-point shooting. They've always been inconsistent. So if you're not making free throws, you're not making threes, you're not going to win a lot of games, especially in the Big 12. I mean, looking at it, how the season's played out, Kansas State and Arizona are probably going to be two of the worst teams. I think Arizona might bounce back a little bit, but at least right now, they were two of the worst teams in the Big 12, and you just lost to both of them.
Well, Arizona's 2-0 in the Big 12. Overall,
right. Overall, they weren't.
Right.
But in the Big 12, and so I think Arizona is more likely to kind of turn it around, and they won't be towards the bottom. But Kansas State, I don't think they were very good watching them play, and so what's that tell you about UC? I don't know. They didn't play anybody outside of Xavier and Dayton, and I think it's kind of showing now.
Carly, got any takes?
Yeah, I mean, I watched both games. It's a UC. It's been UC for 30 years, really. It's a third coach, and it's the same thing. They don't run offense very well. They don't play. They can't shoot. I think they ended up going 4 for 24 from threes against Arizona. It wasn't much better against Kansas State. When they shoot, you pretty much can count on not going in. C.S.S scored 6 points against Arizona. He should be scoring 15. Kansas State, he wasn't much better. He's their best, most gifted offensive player, and he's scoring 6 points. I think he took 6 shots against Arizona. They have 2 guys on the floor, Mitchell and Bandega, who are high effort players, good defense, but they have no offensive skill. If they get the ball in the post, they can't do anything with it unless they get a dunk. And so their offense has come down to lobs and dunks and occasional 3-pointers that, usually don't go in. So Mick Cronin, no offense. Bob Huggins, a lot of time no offense. So, it's just a continuation of how UC has gone over all these years. And they played, defensively, Arizona was coming in average over 90 points a game or something. They scored 72. You should win, when you hold a team to that far below their season average. But you have to score. And so I'm not totally sure what they're going to do in terms of fixing the offense. Free throw shooting is bad, but it really is bad for 2 players. The 2 guys I just mentioned. Dylan Mitchell was historically bad. He's shooting under 30%. They were literally hacked-shacked him yesterday in the Arizona game. 3 or 4 minutes left in the game. They fouled him on purpose to put him in the line, and of course he missed. Bandega's been better this year than last, but he missed a couple shots or a couple free throws. The other guys were okay if you take those 2 guys out. Defensively they had, when they got it back to tied yesterday, down 19, they bring it all the way back, and then they literally let the guy, parting of the Red Sea to the basket for a layup to take the lead, and then they couldn't, again, no half court offense. They just don't have any half court offense. If they're not scoring on lobs, dunks, breakaway steals, that kind of stuff, they just consistently cannot score. And until they can fix that, I predict 15-5 in the Big 12. Right now they're closer to 5-15 in the Big 12, and it's really bad because talent-wise, they're as good as any team in the Big 12. So I don't have an answer for you. I don't have an answer for it. It's frustrating. Just like every other Cincinnati sport, it's just going to fall into a frustrating category. And the fact that I was optimistic about it frustrates myself even more.
Well, it could be a couple of factors, right? I don't know. Defenses are keying on UC's best player, and
but every team does that.
Yeah.
If you're running a defense, any team, if you're Fordham, aren't you, when you're playing Xavier, keying on your best player?
But here's the difference.
So you got to figure out a way for the offense to get their best player open and get better shots, and then he's got to hit them.
Yeah, and that's true, and it could be a lack of confidence as well because you're playing against better competition now in the Big 12. Everybody hears Big 12 is the best conference. And we'll talk a little bit about that. With the SEC, in football, best conference. Well, it's proven it's not anymore. And maybe they're just a little intimidated. You shouldn't be at this level, but maybe
because again, most of their guys are returning players. That was the advantage UC had over most teams in the country.
but
How
then
many guys? So they played these teams before. This isn't new to Seamus
and I'm
and
just
Jizzle.
throwing this out, being a coach, right? Being a former basketball coach, just throwing it out. Sometimes players lack a little confidence, and it takes a couple of really good games to get them back. And the problem is, I mean, you're playing really, really, really tough competition, and it gets in your head, and it's, next thing you know, you're in a shooting slump and you can't get out of it. That's all I'm saying is, yeah, you can have experience all you want, but if you don't have the mental fortitude to go through the grind of a Big 12 schedule and win games that you're supposed to win against unranked teams at home, it's going to be a long year. I mean, it's going to be a long year for
But that
Cincinnati
again, it's
basketball.
not meeting expectations. Once again,
Right.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Is you're not meeting expectations, and that's the bottom line. And we have every Cincinnati sports team this year did not meet expectations or is not meeting expectations.
It's real hard to run
They're
up and down
0
the
for 4.
court, run up and down the field, when your sphincter is really tight, right? Because you're nervous and things like that. So it's just so yeah. I mean, we'll get into more of that, but moving forward, Baylor.
Baylor just got their ass kicked by Iowa State, which is not a good thing for UC because now Baylor is going to see it as a must win. We can't, because otherwise they'll have a losing record in the Big 12. So they're going to come ready to rock and roll on Tuesday. And UC better not. If they fall down by 19, they're going to lose by 35 this time. Mm-hmm. So they got to figure out a way to stay in the game, get some offense figured out, and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too optimistic. I've always liked Baylor. I like Scott Drew as a coach. So, I mean, it's a tough place to play. It's not a big arena, but they pack it in there and it gets loud. So, I mean, it's not looking real good for Wes Miller's team. He's got to figure out something. I don't know what it is. I mean, we know what it is. It's better offense, but how you get there, that's the question. Is he able to do that? Because, I mean, none of his predecessors could ever figure it out. So I don't know.
Well, yeah.
But, I mean, their style was always supposed to be that defense first. We're just going to out-tough you. Whereas I don't, like Wes Miller, obviously the defensive focus is there. But that out-toughing you, I don't get that from his teams. So if you're not going to do that, you can't have a crappy offense too. If you're not going to beat guys up, if you're not going to run the Houston style of basketball, you got to have a good offense.
Yeah, and here's the scary part, right? They got Baylor Tuesday, and then Kansas on Saturday. And Kansas is, I mean, they're Kansas, but they're not Kansas of old.
It doesn't matter. It's
Bill Self will get them. The Big 12 runs through Kansas.
Well, coming in, the Kansas is better than Arizona.
Right, exactly. So UC has to figure it out, because if you go 0-4, you might as well.
You're toast.
You're toast in the Big 12, and then you're looking
at
the
conference tournament, because you're not fighting back to anything close to 500.
And then, can you make it to the tournament? I mean, I know they're 16th and they got a lot of stuff.
They're not going to be ranked.
Yeah, they're not going to be ranked.
They're not going to be ranked. So it's just one of those things. It's like, okay, now you have to fight uphill, and maybe that's what is actually better for UC, is like they can't handle that notoriety now, being in the top 25. I don't know.
I mean, I think they've got to at least get one. Obviously, 2 would be great. But if they can just get one, kind of stay afloat, I think he'll be okay. But if they lose their next 2 and are 0-4, I don't know. It's not going to be looking good.
No, it's not. But, crazier things have happened in this game on the hardwood. So hopefully UC can rebound.
Well, and if they don't, does Wes Miller, is he on the hot seat? Do we want to go there?
I think it's too early for that right now.
Not with the recruiting class that he's got coming in.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
the talent's there. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe an assistant coach or two.
UC shouldn't settle for NITs,
No.
You should be making the tournament at UC.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on here. So our next topic from the week that was Cincinnati Reds news. They traded somebody. Or actually 2 people, 2-for-1er over the break. Fernando Cruz and Jackson for backup Yankees catcher Trevino. What are your thoughts on the trade?
Well, they needed a backup catcher. They have like literally no one, so they got an established major league backup catcher. He should be better than Maley. At least I think all around he's going to be better than Maley. So can't complain there. Fernando Cruz is the loss. He was a one-pitch pitcher. Definitely was much better in the first half. The second half, he's also going to be 35 years old. So he'll probably go to the Yankees, and him and Weaver will be their closer and their top setup guys. My guess is that's what will happen. Wouldn't surprise me. But you had to get a second catcher, and there was nobody left on the free agent market.
Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't moved either way for it. I mean, I'm not going to get excited about a backup catcher who ideally just plays 30 games, 40 games. Who knows? Maybe now that Tinkerbell's not there, maybe backup catcher won't be playing as much. I mean, yeah, Carly said it. Cruz is a one-pitch pitcher. That one pitch is elite, like a top 5 pitch in all of baseball. But his other stuff was non-existent, and I think once hitters figured that out, that's why you saw his second half numbers just balloon.
Well, that and the fact that he had 40, 50 innings pitched before the All-Star.
Oh yeah, yeah. His arm
Bell ran him out there all
the
time,
yeah.
And then his arm just fatigued. But also hitters were laying off that splitter waiting for that fastball, and that fastball was just straight
92 and flat.
Right.
He's going to get eaten alive with that short porch out there.
Well, but the thing is, they haven't seen him in the American League as much, so he'll have he'll do really well the first few months, right? And people here in Cincinnati will be, why did we trade him? And then after the All-Star break, people are going to catch up to him. He's going to fall off, and we'll be like, we're glad we don't have him anymore. That's just typical Cincinnati fans around here. So the one thing that we're still missing is an outfield bat. I don't know if we're going to get it. If we don't get it, something has to. I just don't know. I mean, they made the big splash with Francona, and then they've done minor stuff here and there, but nothing that is going to be able to produce runs for this.
Yeah.
You cannot run this team back with the same guys.
They already run challenge last year.
Right, and they got rid of one of their better players in India as far as run producer. They're
sounds like they're really banking on McClain to be the guy, and
C.S.S.
either Fraley or Benson to have a bounce back year. And I don't like that recipe at all.
No,
I just don't.
I don't either.
Benson, when he came back up, he was a good player, but that was a 80-game sample, 90-game sample. You saw what he was before. You saw what he was this year. You saw what he was in Cleveland before he even got here. I think that's more the player that he is. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't.
They don't have a team cannot battle for a playoff spot and not have. They don't have a starting major league outfielder right now on the roster. Not one guy. DJ Friedel on a good team is your 4th outfielder. Benson and Fraley, your 5th outfielder at best. Benson shouldn't even be in the major leagues. Fraley at best is your 5th outfielder. Spencer Steer is a terrible outfielder. So that's your starting 3 guys right there. So you don't. They have no playoff chance if they do not get an outfielder, a legitimate starting outfielder.
There's a couple out there still.
The off season is an F as far as I'm concerned. F for Francona.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care about your manager. He's worth about 4 games.
Hey, 4 games though gets them.
They weren't in the playoffs. They win 4 more games last year. So that puts them at 500 last year. So no, they have an F. They have a failing grade if they did not pick up an outfielder. I don't care if they trade 7 guys from the minor leagues to get a starting outfielder.
Yeah, they need to get.
It doesn't matter. 1 through 7, the top 7 prospects, I'd trade them all in order to get a legitimate starting outfielder. Those guys are not helping us. 20.
Well, here's an interesting. It was on Twitter. One of the Reds guys that post a lot. He looked back since this ownership took over, and the list of top prospects that the number 1 prospect, the number 2 prospect, top 5 prospects. I think only one of those, one or two made the team and had any type of impact on the team, since up until like 2022, right? But so this drafting and I don't know. I mean, we have to get a player.
Yeah, I'm not saying those guys in 2026 might be helpful. 2027 might be helpful. I don't care about 2027 right now. I mean, by that time, De La Cruz will have to be traded or whatever. So I care about 2025. And if their strategy is not all in for 2025, then it's going to be another lost season for the Reds.
That's the story of Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of apathy on the front office end, like, 500 if guys make a jump, great, but we're not going to do anything to actually improve the team. We're going to try and save a little money where we can and hope for the best. And because we know 50% of the fan base out there is too stupid to do anything, they're going to just follow along and keep rooting for us.
Well, I don't know if they're. I mean,
okay, stupid.
I don't know if they're stupid, but they're just they're
casual fans and they just want to watch the ball.
They're either casual fans, but they're leading with their hearts. They want to believe that the Reds or the Bengals can, run it back with these crew. 2 years ago, last year we were so excited that this team, hey, they made a big jump from the 100-loss season, almost snuck into the playoffs. One more year, Ellie, blah 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 blah. It's going to be great. We sat on our hands at the trade deadline again, and we just couldn't do anything, and we won't do anything. And whether that's Bob, not wanting to spend his lettuce money, or if it's Nick Kroll just wanting to try to get the best deal possible and prove everybody how smart he is because he gets so many prospects. I don't know. I mean, it's because you're looking at the Mariners, right? They've got Luis Castillo on the blocks right now. They're willing to trade him.
And what if you
they have no hitting either?
No, they don't.
If you put a little package of Marte, Fraley, and Arroyo together.
Yeah, send them back.
Send them all back.
Bring them. See if we can get. Hey, who knows? But third base is another spot that we need. Are you going with Marte or Candelaria at third, right?
I think they're.
And I think everybody's leaning towards Candelaria. Yeah.
Well, you got to let spring training play out.
Well, you do, but right now
you're just guessing. You're doing what the Reds do. We just hope in a prayer. We'll just throw names in a thing. Let's see what hope gets us. We go through spring training. The best player gets the spot. Candelaria has the upper hand because they're paying him all that money.
Right.
So, but designated hitter, you could play him a designated hitter. If Marte is clearly the better player, then you better be starting opening day at third.
Yeah. And I think Francona will do that. I don't think he's going to play people because of their salary. He's dealt with this in Cleveland, and he's had 90+ victories in Cleveland multiple seasons. So, and that's what I think the Reds are banking on.
Office does a pretty good job, though, of
they do.
Actually identifying the correct guys. So, they had success again this year too. So
right, and they had they're not afraid. Cleveland's not afraid to make the move, right? They had to make a decision between Lindor and Ramirez, right? Because they knew Ramirez was coming up, and they got rid of Lindor because they had a couple other guys coming up, and they're like, no. So, that's going to will the Reds.
Well, right now we want them to do the opposite. We want those guys coming up to be the ones shipped out.
Right. And will they do that? Or are they going to blame the small markets?
Historically, they don't do that. I can't
that'll be another.
The last time they gave up their top prospect in a trade, or one of their top prospects. I don't know that. Can't think of who it would have been for.
The Latos trade,
probably.
Yeah.
2011, 2012,
14 years ago.
That or who did they ship out to L.A. when we got Yasiel Puig and Kyle Farmer?
Yeah, they got rid of
Homer Bailey. That's right. It was like a money swap, right?
Yeah.
Alex Wood. Okay. So we'll talk more about this, and because a lot of things that I want to talk about, not just Reds baseball, but related to the Reds, is the commissioner. Why is he sitting on his hands when the Dodgers are just going out and getting everybody, international players, everybody coming to the Dodgers?
Yeah, do these Japanese guys know there's 29 other teams in baseball, or do they only know about the Dodgers? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, they're going where they're comfortable with. They're going
Right.
where, I mean, you got already one of them there that's a superstar, and they see that as I know I got him, and to play with and all that kind of stuff. So Dodgers are doing what the Dodgers do. It's not the commissioner's fault. It's the CBA. I mean,
the CBA, but it's also
the players are okay with it. So,
but here's the thing, though: the commissioner in years past have stepped in, and now, granted, this is free agency, but the commissioner has stepped in before and say, no, that is not in the best interest of baseball.
That's happened in MLB before.
Yeah, it has. A-Rod. The commissioner stepped in and said,
"How long ago was that?"
That's what I'm saying, though. The commissioner it was 2000.
It was a different commissioner. It was a different.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The commissioner's office has done it in the past. This commissioner needs to step up and do his job instead of just sitting back and letting the Dodgers and the Yankees aren't even in the conversation because they don't have that money that the Dodgers have.
It's going to happen until the CBA changes.
And we might be looking a year without baseball.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm the small market teams, there's no point in complaining.
Right. All right. We're going to move on to our next topic because I'm getting heated again. Well, first we got one thing that we do need to talk about with the Reds. 3 key moments that derailed the 2024 season. So does anybody want to give their 3 moments?
I mean, I thought of one right off the bat when McClain got hurt in spring training. Set them, because that was their plan, was all these guys were going to make that second-year jump. That's why they didn't get anybody.
Yeah, you can say the injuries.
You saw the injuries.
C.S.,
Lodolo
our medical staff.
Yeah. Yeah. And just related to that, I didn't put injuries number 1 because I think every team has injuries.
Yeah, they do.
Brewers had a lot of injuries.
Yes.
It's more the depth of the roster. It's poor front office management. It's living on a hope and a prayer, like they've already mentioned a couple of times. C.S., we're going to hope he's going to be great. He was terrible even when he did play. Friedel never came back. Marte disappeared, because of his idiocy. So they had nothing to back these players up. When the starting pitchers all got hurt, and then we were running guys from Double-A out there again. That's 2 years in a row we've had to do that. They held up better than you would expect as little talent they had, the starting pitchers in that last couple months. So to me, that's number 1, just poor front office management, lack of depth on the team.
Yep. Yeah, I had injuries down, because and the whole fiasco with C.S., right? It's like, well, he has a broken wrist. When did he have that? At first, he can play through it, blah, blah, blah. And then it became broke, and second opinions, and same thing with Matt McClain, second opinions. It's almost like the distrust our medical staff here in Cincinnati, which I don't know if they should or shouldn't. But, that was one. And, just the base running blunders, I mean, you could just.
That was the whole season of those.
Yeah, that was the whole season.
Well, that and defense. Defensively, they were awful.
Awful, right. So, if we're looking at 3 key things, not just, specific moments in time, I mean, we can point to injuries, right? Lack of depth, base running, blunder. David Bell, but we can't blame him anymore.
Well, I pulled up, just for the fun of it, maybe for the lack of fun of it, I pulled up the starting lineup for opening day last year. You tell me why this team should have been worse than 8 games under 500 based on the starting lineup.
Now, I got something, later.
So here we go. Jonathan India, not on the team anymore. Will Benson should not be on the team anymore. He's batting second. C.S., terrible season. Jamer, way underperformed. Jake Fraley, way underperformed. Ellie, okay, you got one guy.
You got one.
Spencer Steer, underperformed. Martini, I mean, he's not even a major leaguer, and he's on the.
But he was on opening day. He was on opening day.
Again, that's a joke. See, that's what it is. That's a joke we're making right now. So that tells you right there. And then Tyler Stevenson batted 9th. So he's our second major league player. We had 2 major league players that are still on this team that should still be on this team and valuable members of 2025. And then who was our starting pitcher? Frankie Montas, another player not on this team. So that was your starting lineup. Right there, that tells you all you need to know about the 2024 Reds.
But they won.
One game.
That's going to be later on in this episode.
And Martini went deep twice.
Yeah.
And
if he has one more at bat for the Reds, they will have a below 500 team this year. And I told you that, whoever I was sitting next to on opening day, I said, I guarantee you JD Martinez from the Mets will have 5 times better stats than Nick Martini. After the 2 home runs he hit.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on. I am wearing my Reds hat because it's less than 45 days to opening or pitchers and catchers
it's
reporting.
81 days to
81 days to opening day, but pitchers and catchers report here in 40 some days. So excited about that. Since the Bengals season is officially over, we can bury them and, we can let the bitching and complaining begin or continue, I should say, because it has been going on since week 1. So let's take a look at, overtime thriller, the Broncos, 30-24. And then the Steelers, we won yesterday, 19-17, which, scary. But thoughts on the last 2 games, if you have any thoughts?
Well, I did until about 30 minutes ago, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't either.
Doesn't matter. Yep, it doesn't matter.
Nobody will remember these 2 games.
No, they will. Mike Brown will remember it, and Dick Tobin, because they've won 5 in a row, and they're going to.
Well, everybody will be back.
Yeah,
right.
Coaching
Yeah.
one.
Coaching staff, probably.
And probably the defense all will be back to it now.
It was the worst case scenario because it was, oh man, if we'd have got off to a better start and we're just going to run this sucker back. Lou's going to be back. All these old guys are going to be back. Everybody's going to be back, except for maybe T. Higgins.
Right. Well, let's talk about the 3 key moments in that derailed the 2024 season. What do you have?
Week 1, just the Patriots right out of the gate, just not being ready to play football. They just weren't.
Well, yeah,
so that's. But I put that as well. But it's the same every year.
Right.
Yeah.
This wasn't a one-off.
No.
This is every year under Zach Taylor. I think he's 1-11 first 2 games of his career. You can't keep being 0-3. And this year they were 0-3, weren't they? And then 1-4.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So that's it right there. That's the whole season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can look at specifics of that game, right, where the touchdown that got overturned by Gesicki, bad officiating.
Because of every game being so close, there was a moment in every single game, or at least all those first 8 games. 7 losses or whatever.
Yeah, 7 losses by 1 score.
From that 7th round rookie being in the final play against the Chiefs and committing the pass interference. I mean, do we ever hear from that dude again?
No, I don't even know.
Is he even on the team still?
Yeah, he is.
He didn't play. He definitely was not playing those last couple games, unless he was just on a special team and we just never heard his name. Been. So, but he was in on a instrumental, over Jordan Battle, who became like a starter by the, halfway through the season.
Again, like he was last year.
You had missed, snaps.
Field goals.
Well, missed field goals. You had the dropped snap, just on and on and on from all those things. And so, I mean, you go through every game and do that.
You could, yeah.
But it's not by coincidence those things are happening, though.
No.
It's not by coincidence they're losing. They're 1-11 in their first 12.
No, not in their
games.
First. But then you can't say it's not coincidence that they finish strong every year, too, because they have. So what do we have to do to get a couple of victories early on so that way as we finish
we
strong,
know what it is. It's play the guys in preseason. Get them actual game reps, not just a drive in week 1 and then they sit out 2 and 3. Every single game. They need to play a couple drives first game, whole half the second game, and then if you don't want to play them in the third, whatever. But they actually need to play football. It's as simple as that. Every team that is successful plays their guys in the preseason. The Chiefs suck this year. They're 15-1, and they were ready to go right out of the gate because they play in the preseason. And I think that's as simple as it is, that just get these guys reps in the preseason, get them ready to go, especially that offensive line, because you're going to have hopefully 2 new guys on that offensive line this year.
2, hopefully 3.
2
4.
new guards. I don't think they need anything other than 2 new guards.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Sam. I mean, the Rams don't play anybody in their preseason. I mean, that's where Zach Taylor. That's where Zach Taylor came from. Is that my mentality? I don't think the Vikings do either, because he also came from the Rams tree. I agree with it though. Like because they got to change something up. Otherwise, you're just gonna, it's gonna continue and whatever. But I think we're missing one key point. I think talent-wise was poor on this team defensively. So if you played those guys every snap in the preseason, the defense, they still wouldn't be good because they're not very good players. Sam Hubbard's not an NFL player anymore. Just keep going through the list. Mike Hilton's slow. He's old. You just keep going. Whenever we do our look back, looking forward now and later in some other podcasts, we're going to ask who truly did we want from this defense moving forward. It's going to be a very few number of guys that we truly want from this defense moving forward. And we'd be happy if they replaced 95% of them. If they took the entire defensive unit and slashed 90% of them, we would not be upset. Nobody would be upset about that. So I think talent, and that comes from the front office. This gets eventually winding back to the front office again. We're dealing with poor, below average front offices in both our two major sports. And how do you overcome that? The Chiefs overcome it because they have a good front office. Well, regardless, they have maybe the best head coach in the NFL. And you got the best quarterback. The combination is tough you don't lose when you have that situation. The Bengals don't have that great of a coach, and they have an awful front office, even though they have a very good quarterback. So we can, I don't want to forget. I'm not giving up the front office an out.
No.
And saying that talent-wise, they're not talented enough right now.
No.
Defensively, especially.
Defensively.
And offensive line.
But Burrow and Chase made up for a lot of that. I mean, if a couple of things in those 7 losses go different, or 7-1 score goes a little different way.
But that comes down to talent. I think that's why it's not a coincidence. To me, it's a talent issue. They weren't talented enough to win those games. When you lose close games because you're not talented.
Yeah, but they gave up 38 points in that game though. So it came down to the drop snap, but
they should. Didn't they? Yeah, didn't they score 35 or something in that game?
Yeah, I think they lost by
36.
3.
Wasn't it 38-35 or 40? One game was 44-38. One game was was something 41-38 or something. You don't lose when you score. What was the rest of the NFL?
1-33 or something like that. Yeah,
that's a talent issue, and a front office, which is a front office issue.
I would say yes, it's a talent issue on the defensive side of the ball, more so than the offense.
And you can't tell me Zach Taylor is a good game manager. I mean, when you have your field goal kicker struggling and you rely on we'll take a 56-yard field goal to try to win this game,
right?
That's just a poor decision.
That was bad. So, but all right, 2025 opponents came out. Thoughts? We've got our home games. Here's our home slate: Ravens. The AFC North, Browns, Steelers. Then we have the NFC North. So we have the Bears and the Lions come to town. And then we got the AFC East, which is the Patriots and the Jets. And then we have the 4th place or the 3rd place scheduled Jacksonville Jaguars and Arizona Cardinals. The away, AFC North. So we travel to Ravens, Browns, Steelers. The East, we go to Buffalo. And then the Dolphins. Then we have the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings where we travel to. And then the Denver Broncos. We travel out to Mile High there. So thoughts on our opponents?
Yeah, I mean, based on this year, the road schedule's a lot tougher than what the home schedule pans out to be, at least on paper, going into it. But yeah, I mean, I kind of wait to see kind of where this schedule actually falls.
We lost them.
We'll probably
going to wait and see and something. So
yeah, I don't really have thoughts on the schedule for next year. It's way too far away. Too many changes. You don't know anything that's going to be about it.
Well, yeah.
We lost to the Patriots this year, so it doesn't matter who we play. we could lose any team. So,
Yeah.
I mean, who's our best win this year?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And they're not very good.
Or the Broncos.
Pittsburgh or Denver. I mean,
Yeah. Again, average teams at best.
I mean, because what we've won, how many games against winning teams, right?
Just those two.
Records?
Those two, right?
Those two.
Yeah. That's it. 2 average teams.
Mm-hmm.
That if they win a game, either of them win a game in the playoffs, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, because Denver has to go to Buffalo and Pittsburgh. It depends.
Baltimore, probably.
Will it be Baltimore?
Yeah,
what did
Houston
Chargers
won.
do today?
So
Won.
Houston won. Or the Chargers won, sorry.
Then,
the Chargers are the 5.
I don't know where.
Yeah, I would say Pittsburgh. The Chargers are above Pittsburgh now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. The Chargers go to Houston. So, all right. Sam, where you at, buddy? You got cut off on the stream. Let me see if he's coming back. All right. I'm trying to get Sam back here. As we go, Crawley, go ahead, and I'm going to go moving into our, what do you want to call it? Trivia question. You had it the last time we were together.
Yeah, it was the winningest active college football coaches. Like by number of wins. By number of wins. Yeah.
Okay.
The top right, 3 were Kirk Ferentz of Iowa, Brian Kelly from LSU, and Dabo. It's not
letting them in. I have the trivia here in a second. Sorry, folks. I'm trying to send Sam a text message saying it's not Riverside. If you're listening, this platform, come on now, you got to fix these bugs. I hit the check mark and it wouldn't let them in, and then it says let them in the people waiting room, and it didn't do it. So fix this for us, Riverside. All right, so my trivia question for this one, it's a baseball one, and we lost one of the best base stealers, or the best base stealer, Ricky Henderson, since last time we were here. So in honor of Ricky Henderson, this is a 2-part question. Can you name the top 10 career stolen base leaders since 1900? And where does the Reds rank? In other words, where does the Reds fall? So I'll tell you that he is not in the top 10.
Oh, like the top Red, you mean?
Yeah, the top Red.
So with Ricky Henderson being 1.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Raines.
So this is, all right, Riverside, you got me all flustered right now. Sorry, guys. Tim Raines is there. And I just lost the stats pulled up. This whole thing is starting to irritate me.
Well, maybe we should save this for the next time.
Well, I think it might be this Apple computer here, because I don't know why it's not letting you in. Sam, sorry, buddy. Well, all right. Yep. We'll do that the next time. It might be my computer. My computer might be acting up because my tabs are all acting up now as well. Okay, so let's see here. Yep, it's not letting him in. Let me see. Yeah. All right. We're gonna move on, and if I can get Sam in, I'll get Sam in. But let's make this real quick here. We've got our year in review, 2024. The top 5 best moments in Cincy sports for 2024. Crawley, you want to go ahead and start? And while I work on trying to get Sam back in here.
Yeah,
What did you have?
I didn't put them necessarily. I probably should have more like 1 to 5, like ranking them. I probably should have. Let me look at my list here and say, like, if I had to pick my top moment.
Yeah.
I'd say probably Jamar Chase, Triple Crown. Receiving Triple Crown. It's only happened 5 times in NFL history, and he was by far the best player on a non-playoff team.
Yeah. All right. What else do you have?
Oh, you want me to go my whole list?
Yeah. Just get your list
okay.
in. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
I have Ellie De La Cruz and Hunter Green emerging for the Reds. You have somebody who got Cy Young votes, and you have someone who got MVP votes. Which is better to have those than not, and they haven't had one of those for a few years. So that to me would be another one. I have I was just trying to think of Bengals to build on, younger Bengals to build on, because they unfortunately don't have enough of them. I put Chase Brown emerged as a every down back, and Amarius Mims. Finally, it looks like maybe we had a successful first round offensive lineman pick, or just offensive lineman pick in general. Doesn't have to be first round.
Right.
So, he's one. He does have, at this point, have the injury bug. So, but I would pick those two guys as something to bid on. And then I have FCC having a couple big wins. They made the playoffs for the third year in a row, which is nice. But specifically moments, they beat Miami 6-1 on July the 6th. I was thinking, like, at that moment, things might have a shot at it, and then they kind of fell off from there. That was kind of the peak, hit the peak, and then they dropped off from there. So I put that down. They did win a Hell is Real game as well during the regular season, so that's always fun. And then the last one I have is for this future, or at least for the next 3 years, hopefully, the Reds hiring Francona.
Yeah. So my top 5 moments, it's kind of, there's a tie for number 1 for me. Actually, no, there's not. Tie for number 2. So my 5th one is FC Cincy defeating Miami. Sam is back. Hey, what the heck happened?
Kicked me out and then wouldn't let me back in.
Yeah, so I don't know what.
Yeah,
Oh, no, there you go. All right, so Crawley just shared his list. Mine are more.
I'll run through it again.
So, yeah, run through them real quick for Sam.
You're sideways, by the way, but I guess it doesn't matter if we're not on YouTube. I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Well, it'll go on YouTube.
One of us be upside down, one be sideways.
Yeah, but hey, who knows? Maybe we'll get more views that way.
So I put my top 5 just to recap them real quick. Jamar Chase's Triple Crown season, Ellie De La Cruz and Hunter Green emerging this year. Chase Brown and Amarius Mims, actually two of the very few young guys on the team that we can build with. FCC beating Miami 6-1 on July 6th, and then the Reds hiring Francona.
All right, mine are more specific moments, not an overall theme like Crawley had. So my number 5 was FC Cincy defeating Miami. Take that, Messi. Number 4 was UC's crosstown shootout victory. I think that after 5 consecutive losses, that was huge. Top moment here. I think Joe Burrow's that Superman touchdown throw a couple weeks ago. That was a huge moment because it gave us hope, right? Because if he doesn't make that throw, we probably lose that game and season's done then. So, obviously it was a great throw, but gave us hope. And then my second greatest moment is Nick Martini's 2 bombs on opening day. Yes, because it gave us hope, man. It gave the Reds
That's the problem with the Reds. It's hope. That's the anti-moment of the year is him hitting those 2 home runs.
But those were the 2. But that just electrified
ruined the season.
City. No, it did not ruin the season.
Yes, it did, because then the Reds front office said, oh, look, Nick Martini can actually is a real major league player, and let's keep running him out there for 150 at-bats. Let's keep running Stuart Fairchild, who's not a major league player, out there getting him 250 at-bats. Will Benson, who's awful this year, let's run him out for 350 at-bats.
But
those guys should be cut.
Moments, best moments. That was one of the best moments. That stadium was electric. You cannot deny that, Crawley. You were there too. You cannot deny that. You might have been the only one who was sitting on his hands during that time because you're stomping your feet saying Martini.
Yeah, and we were 77-85 160 games later.
Yeah, but it was a good moment.
We're still the city that roots for that. One of our favorite teams ever is a team that didn't even make the playoffs. Ridiculous.
But they won more games than this team. And then my last one is also hiring Terry Francona. So, there's that. All right, Sam, what do you have?
So my number 5 is firing David Bell.
That might be, I probably should have put that number 1 on mine just for the fun of it.
Just getting him out of here. My number 4 was, I can't remember the team, but Luca Orejano's beyond half field goal. It's just awesome. Probably will win MLS goal this season, or maybe it did. I don't even know. I think they announced that. I don't know. Who knows how MLS actually works? Yeah, you don't know. Number 3 was just the overall, just Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. I kind of lumped them in together. Just MVP, Offensive Player of the Year type seasons. And then number 2 was Ellie De La Cruz getting all those steals. Really, kind of just his emergence, because I think he's going to be a superstar. And then number 1 was hiring Terry Francona.
All right, so we all agreed Terry Francona was the best moment in 2024. All right, so with that, we just want to say thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Cincinnati Sports Scene. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to follow and subscribe to stay up to date with all things Cincinnati sports. You can find us on all major platforms, podcasting platforms. So whether you're on Spotify, Apple, Google, or anywhere else, we've got you covered. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. This will be posted in a couple of days if you want to watch it. And we'll also be trying to get some reels out there for you. We're also keeping conversation going on our social media. So follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook at Cincy Sports Scene. And thanks again for listening. And please stay safe as Winter Storm Blair continues to pummel the area. And we'll see you next time. So everybody, take care.
See you later.